second-generation Korean American born and raised in New York City. A man who graduated from the prestigious Harvard and New York University. The path to certain success stretched wide before him. But he chose to walk down a completely different path. He is known as the Korean Son Preacher, teaching Son meditation to young people in Korea and the world. Hwansan Sunim, an ordained Buddhist monk living in Korea. Let's listen to his spiritual messages on today's Heart to Heart.
네, 환산 스님 오늘 이렇게 함께해 주셔서 감사드립니다. It's a pleasure to have you on our show. Could you maybe say hello to our viewers that are watching Heart to Heart right now?
Hello, everyone.
That was very simple. Once again, it's very meaningful to have you on our show on Buddha's birthday. And I'd like to begin by asking you what you usually do in celebration of Buddha's birthday.
Well, at my monastery, which is called 용화사 in Incheon, the first thing we do is we have a Dharma Assembly where we listen to the Dharma speech of our teacher, Son Master Songdam. And then afterward, in celebration, there's a Lotus Lantern Parade that the lay people that participate in. But probably the most interesting and fun thing that we do is at night, we light up the lotus lanterns that are hung over the temple. And we hang so many that it's like a sea of lights. There's a canopy of lights. And people from around that area come in to take photos, and it's kind of a nice festive picnic atmosphere.
You've been attracting a lot of attention, especially since 2013. Now, especially for your YouTube channel, your show on YouTube on meditation, your teachings on meditation. You're also featured on the Huffington Post.
That's right, my blog articles.
Yes, you have been, and you still give lectures, especially to college students, and also you've been appearing on many television shows. Now, this is all an effort to publicize, of course, the teachings of meditation to a larger audience. Could you maybe give us some examples of what exactly Son meditation is?
Well, let's imagine that you're in a work situation or in a personal situation, and someone you trust has said something that has wounded you.
Okay.
And the thing is that in our education, in the modern educational system, and in our sort of job training, no one really ever teaches you a specialized or a specific technique for dealing with being upset. So here you are, you're kind of wounded, you're shocked, you don't really know what to do, your thoughts are all over the place.
Right.
What should we do? What should we do when we're upset, literally flipped over? So the first thing is, in the Son tradition, is because our thoughts and our emotions are by definition out of our control, we begin with what we can control most easily, which is our body.
Okay.
So we go to posture.
Oh, are we trying this out right now?
Shall we try it?
Sure, yes,
Okay.
I'd love to try.
So what we can do is just put your feet naturally on the floor, and this is not the traditional method. This is a method that I think modern people can use because we're often in chairs. So just put your feet flat on the floor, and your knees roughly at right angles, and then straighten your back and tuck in your chin very slightly so that you feel the top of your head rise. And then to do it formally, you take your right hand, palm up, place it against your belly and just rest it in your lap. Take your left hand on top, and then just put your two thumbs together like this.
Like this.
Now what we've done here is we've created a stable position, stable symmetrical position. This allows your muscles to relax, the ones that you're not directly using. At the same time, your spine is upright, which allows your mind to focus and concentrate. So it's just different. Your state of mind will just be different. And that's what we do. And we ask ourselves a question, which is 이 뭐고 in Korean. What is this? What is this inside me that's experiencing these sensations, making these decisions, feeling things, living life? And we ask that to ourselves. And the way you do it is you breathe in, pause, and then on the out breath, along with the out breath, inside our minds, we ask ourselves, 이 뭐고. trail that all the way to the end of the out-breath. This phrase directs our gaze inward toward the source of our own attention. It's like the eye trying to see itself. When we turn our gaze inward like that, we naturally go to a deeper place in our mind. So we can try that. You can try that in your mind.
Okay.
So together, inhale. Pause. And then in your mind, 이목고. And then again, inhale. Pause. And then exhale. 이목고.
So calming.
Yes.
It's actually very calming.
And it happens within seconds. So what you have is that the instructions for performing this meditation, posture, breathing, and the focus on the hwadu, it's called a hwadu, which just means question. The instructions are also the actual procedure that you would use in real life.
So you're saying that anybody can benefit from sun meditation?
I believe so, yeah.
And you could benefit it anywhere you are at any time of the day.
If you can breathe.
Right.
If you're allowed to breathe. Yeah.
Whether you're on the subway, for example, whether you're in a meeting and you're feeling stressed.
Well, I always use
something.
it. You can do it standing up.
Oh, you could?
Oh, I've done it on subways. Shall I show you?
Yes,
or,
yes.
Just briefly, just so that people know. But we just stand.
Should I? I'll try with you.
Yeah, just stand exactly the same way. And we're going to do exactly the same thing. We're just sitting. And what you can do is you just place your hands over your lower belly, like around just under your belly button. And this will allow you to feel whether you're doing the breathing. But after that, it's exactly the same thing. You're just standing. You flex your knees slightly. If you're on a subway, the car is shaking.
Yes, yes.
So I literally, I'll be holding the strap like this in one hand here and sort of swaying. But it's the same thing. Just straighten your spine by tucking in your chin, and then just begin the breathing. And then breathe in, pause, and on the out breath, 이목고, like that. And I do it on the subway. The really great thing is on the subway, on long subway rides, on any long public transportation ride, people get exhausted, and this gives us a way to stay charged in a way. So I used to use it when I first began teaching it in universities, because I would have to take like a 2-hour subway ride, and I didn't want to arrive exhausted.
I see.
So it's like putting your cell phone in a charger. It's like as if you plugged it on something and you're just sitting there on the subway in this very peaceful state, and you arrive fresh.
Oh, so now anyone can actually meditate,
absolutely.
do the sun meditation on the subway wherever you are, whether you're sitting down or standing up, and that's amazing.
You can do it while walking eventually. When you practice enough, you can do it while walking. You can even do it while jogging.
While jogging?
Yeah, because the rule, believe it or not, I've tried. Because the rule in jogging, as I understand it, is that you have to run at a speed where you can hold a normal conversation with someone next to you.
I see.
So if you can breathe like that, you can do this. And what it does is it regulates your stride much more. I mean, I've tried it really in every possible situations.
I'm also curious about the reactions of people who have tried sun meditation. I mean, tell us about the reactions.
I've taught under really diverse kinds of situations. So I'll just name a few examples. Probably the most unusual environment that I've taught this was I actually taught the meditation to they were mental patients under what's called a dual diagnosis, meaning that they were diagnosed both for substance abuse and for a clinically diagnosable mental illness.
I see.
So it's called dual diagnosis, and these clients were from very, very difficult backgrounds, very impoverished, very violent. Most of them had lost family members to gang warfare and things like that. So they were highly traumatized, had lost all self-confidence and self-trust, and they were cycling through these periods of addiction and rehabilitation. So when I first taught them, I actually, the very first time I taught them, I thought of the smallest possible meditation session that could be relevant. So I thought 1 minute.
1 minute.
1 minute, I bet we could do 1 minute. And I said, can we do 1 minute? And they literally looked up at the ceiling in despair, saying, a whole minute? So I was not prepared for the level of sort of despair and dehumanization that they were in. So, so we all held hands, and I said, well, let's walk through it together out loud. So we were doing just as we did here. We breathed in, held, and then we breathed out, and we chanted. And they were able to do it. And then over time, by gaining confidence in that way, later they were able to do 20 minutes at a time on their own. So I saw people in really extreme situations.
Right. Okay, we'll be talking about your background, how you were born and raised in the States, and where you went to study and what you studied in just a bit. And, for now, we're going to take a short break, take a look at what you actually do when you're in action. So today, in marking Buddha's birthday, we are here in the studio. Actually, in the studio with us is Hwansan Sunim. Let's take a short break. Let's take a look at Hwansan Sunim in action and continue our conversation.
Again, palm up and place it on top of your right hand. And join the shame or regret over things that we all gain enlightenment.
I feel a little bit more relaxed. And it's hard for me to relax, but this helps me relax a lot more.
I find it very calming. I feel joyful. And I wish I did it more frequently.
I feel great. I feel refreshed. And I already started using his technique.
The meditation that Hwansan Sunim can help us understand is absolutely, the medicine that science can't reach, that helps the soul heal from the inside out. It's phenomenal.
It's not really happening on a biological level. In through your nose, completely fill your chest. And when you can do that, you can go to an even higher level and learn how to meditate. It's still the most advanced thing out there. There is nothing. Breathe out through your mouth. And you should feel yourself calming down just by sitting in this very balanced and relaxed. The pleasure of eating good food, the pleasure of wearing nice clothing, the pleasure of being, physically attractive. The problem with pleasure is that it is temporary. It passes. And when it passes, it leaves disappointment behind. It leaves a feeling of emptiness, a feeling that something has been stolen from us. And so then we go look for more pleasure. And it's an addictive cycle. The Buddhist approach is, how are we to come to terms with the experience of pleasure? How shall we make use of it? Should we resist it? Should we attach ourselves to it? And the Buddhists propose the so-called middle path. Don't attach to it. Don't resist it. Let it flow through you. Meditate. Stay centered. And when you do that, you'll be able to experience that, which is a part of life, yet it won't pull you around. It won't dominate you, it won't enslave you, and you can go on to experience the rest of living.
It sure looks like you're keeping yourself very busy.
I've been busy.
Very busy, all over the place at so many different venues. Now, talking about your educational background, well, first of all, you have a very unusual background for Buddhism. You were born and raised in America, in New York.
That's right, New York.
Yes. You graduated from Harvard University's Department of Comparative Religion, and you also studied psychology at the Graduate School of New York, NYU.
That's right.
You landed a lucrative job at a law firm.
Wasn't that lucrative?
But so many people would die for that. Now, was there a void? What was it? Why? You could have lived you're living a successful life right now as well, but was there a void that you felt?
I think when I was a freshman in college, I had just gotten into this well-known university. And I had a girlfriend, and it was my birthday, and she brought me a very expensive bottle of champagne. Well, I thought at the time it was very expensive. And so as I was sitting there, I thought, well, this is what people live for, for the prestige and the success, and the girlfriend or the boyfriend, and the fine wine and the fine clothes and the fine food and whatever. Sure. And I thought, I have already tasted the best of what life has to offer. That what took my immigrant father decades to get to where he could feel financially and socially comfortable, I had, thanks to the help of my parents, I had arrived there very quickly. I was only 17 at the time. And I thought, well, won't it always be some version of this? These simple, these kinds of pleasures and satisfaction repeated over and over, you know, across, maybe I could go to a more prestigious place, a more prestigious workplace, you know, drink a $1,000 bottle of champagne, and then, you know, if I had a lot of wealth and power, maybe I could get, you know, be with like a model or something like that. And, but it would really just be more of the same. It's a difference in quantity, not quality. And I thought, could I live so many decades cycling through the same sort of banal pleasures over and over again? Wouldn't life get boring? Over time, as we grow older, it all just seemed very empty and boring to me. So that you know, that was the beginning, I think, of a kind of quest to find something else, you know, a higher level of life, maybe.
And it was religion for you?
Well, I went into I was originally going to be a philosophy major, but philosophy department doesn't actually deal with questions of the meaning of life, at least at the time that I was there. So all the courses that I was interested were all over in the religion department.
Oh, I see.
So that's how I went over there. In my junior year of college, after I had been studying these religious traditions, and especially the Zen tradition, I got it in my head that I wanted to meet an actual living enlightened master. And so I started to ask around the Korean American Buddhist community. And I was interested in coming to Korea because my cultural heritage is Korean, but I had never lived in Korea before. So I did want to make contact with Korea. So I was looking in Korea, and then I heard of the name of my teacher, Songdam Sunim. You know, Sunim is the Korean word for Buddhist monastic. And this was before the internet and all this. It's a long time ago. So there was very little public information about him. You know, I heard that he had undertaken a 10-year vow of silence, which was amazing to me.
Wow.
And I really thought that this, you know, what could possibly move a person to be that austere? And if you've done it for 10 years, why did he start speaking again? And the rumors were that he had done that, he had become enlightened, and that he was a living bodhisattva. And these were these clues that I heard. And so I found a way to contact him, and I sent him a letter asking for permission to stay at his monastic. I was not planning on becoming a monastic.
I see.
My parents wanted me to be a doctor or a lawyer and stay on that track. And you know, the Buddhist monastic was really not even on the list of career options, right? So, but he read my letter and he gave me permission to visit and stay in his monastery and learn meditation. And so I came out to Korea maybe a few months after graduation. I made some money to buy a plane ticket. And when I arrived, I found out he doesn't live there. So I had to wait a little while longer. And I was working in their kitchen, and they shaved my head, and you know, they had me in the robes, and it was just a very alien experience. And but the day finally came when I was able to meet him. And you know, I had to wait all day. There was a long line of people. And I met him. I was the last person to meet him that day. And you know, I went into his room. And you know, in Korea, you can't look directly at an elder, at someone who's elder. You have to sort of keep your gaze down. So when I walked into the room, I couldn't even see what he looked like. I was just sort of dutifully following
Were you afraid to look
protocol.
at him?
Not exactly. I was trying to be respectful of the culture. So I was dutifully looking at the floor, and I sat down, you know, in front of him. And I thought, well, I've flown all the way out here to meet him. I might as well take a look at him. So I raised my face to look at him. And it's one of these things that you can't really convey, but what happened was, as soon as I saw his face, yeah, I thought, this guy is enlightened. He is really enlightened. There really is such a thing as enlightenment. It was just a thing, like I don't know what to call it, but there was just this presence to him, and I knew that it was possible for a human being to transcend, inner suffering, to awaken to a higher consciousness. And that moment changed my life.
우리는 오늘부터 새로 태어난 마음으로 열심히 이목구를 해서 중생을 제도할 수 있는 부처님 제자가 되기를 맹세했습니다.
I'd like to ask what you learned and came to understand while attending to Son Master Songdam.
Well, I've been his personal attendant for the last 15 years, which means that when he comes to my temple to give his Dharma speeches, I'm like his personal assistant. But it also means that I get to spend a lot of time with him. And there are things that cannot be taught in words. And there's a way that he conducts himself. And I think in almost all fields of human endeavor, the great leaders and teachers and experts, the ones who are number one in their field, whether they realize it or not, I think that they're trying to prove that they're extraordinary. They're trying to achieve extraordinary things. And I, of course, I'm not against that. We need people to provide solutions and to provide role models for us to follow as well. But in the case of my teacher, he kind of went the opposite direction. He always insisted that he was an ordinary monk. And his behavior is entirely ordinary. He doesn't put on like a mystical air. He's not trying to prove to you that he's, the Buddha or something like that. But what you begin to realize is that he does ordinary things in extraordinary ways through his meditative training, I think. If so often, especially when I'm teaching young people, there's so much self-doubt and anguish. Am I smart enough? Am I talented enough? Have I achieved enough? Am I making enough money? Is my position high enough? Do people respect me?
Right.
And we're always worried about things like that. And I think what this meditation training allows us to do is if you can focus on doing the ordinary things of daily life through this meditative technique, then without having to do anything outwardly special, you will begin to have an extraordinary experience of life. You will experience extraordinary levels of mental clarity, emotional depth, the opening of your heart. And so maybe outwardly, in the titles we hold and the kind of salary we make and whatever, we may not appear special in the eyes of the world, but inside we do become extraordinary in our mind and in our heart. And I think that that's just as important as producing these amazing leaders. And this is a different way to find self-respect and to find meaning in our lives without having to step off of our path or constantly be reaching for the next, higher rung on the ladder. That right where we are, we can experience the full value and beauty and meaning of life and be transformed by that.
And last but not least, is there a message that you would like to deliver to the viewers watching Heart to Heart today, especially since it is Buddha's birthday?
I'd like to share something that my teacher, Son Master Songdam, often says in his Dharma speeches. And he says that the greatest sin that you can possibly commit, greater than the murder of your own parents, the murder of a Buddha, even greater than that, and these are considered the worst sins in the Buddhist tradition. The greatest sin that you can possibly commit is to give up on yourself. I have found that the people I meet are often very hard on themselves. They judge themselves on a very, very harsh scale of success or failure. And they judge themselves very relentlessly, and there's a lot of self-doubt I find in the people that I meet. And I would like to suggest that we should never give up on ourselves, and that the Son tradition teaches us, suggests to us that maybe we have not yet discovered the most beautiful part of ourselves. Maybe we have not lived yet the most beautiful part of our lives. There is a light within each of us there to be discovered if we just don't give up hope.
Thank you so much for that message. I would like to say that today was a very meaningful day for me. I've learned a lot about
for me too.
Buddhism and about Son meditations and teachings and the Son tradition. I hope you continue to help people live a happier life, to help them find true peace and calm, and guide them to live a happier and a truly happy life. Thank you so much for your time once again.
Thank you very much for inviting me,
Yes,
Jennifer.
감사합니다.
감사합니다.